So, on today's podcast, we're talking about congruence in leadership and cultures and how to keep our mindset focused on the temperature we aim to set so that we can breathe good oxygen into our actions that align our values and beliefs and bring our words and actions into harmony. Welcome back to the Thermostat with Jason Barger. If you're currently on a commute, a walk, or just a micro break in your day, glad you're making time to step back, to think, and to reflect on the next steps on your journey. I've never been more convinced the best leaders and team cultures in the world are the ones that make time to step back, breathe in good oxygen, and calibrate their thermostat. I hope today's conversation leaves you feeling grounded and inspired. Now let's dive into today's topic to engage our minds and hearts in order to authentically lead and create compelling cultures wherever we are in the world. Hey everybody, it's Jason, and welcome back to the Thermostat with Jason Barger. So glad you are here wherever you are. Welcome in. So glad you've made your way to this podcast. We are in season 9, like over 260 episodes at this point. So glad you're here. If you're new to the podcast, welcome in. This continues to grow, spread in all kinds of exciting ways. So glad you're with us, and so glad that this is a spot that you have found. I invite you to Google my name, Jason Barger, and any topic around leadership, culture, mindset, and you're going to find one of those 260 episodes of a micropod or a conversation with a thought leader from around the world that joins me. All kinds of great stuff out there, and I invite you to go back and check it out. If you're one of the OGs that have been with us from the very beginning, you're welcome to do that as well. I hope you continue to do that. But I'm also so glad that this continues to be a place that adds value to your life and your work. My commitment to all of us, anyone listening to the podcast right now, my commitment is every time we come together, I want this to be a chance for you to step back, for you to hopefully have some good oxygen breathed into you, and to think about the temperature you're trying to set in your life and your work. And we will continue to hopefully design content to do that very thing. Before we dive into today's topic, if you'll do me the quick favor, if you haven't subscribed to the podcast, please do that. If you'll rate the podcast 5 stars, of course, on whatever podcast platform you're listening to. If you will leave an authentic review in your own words, that is super helpful to help the algorithms find and also just see authentic words out there of why these messages are important in a very noisy, crowded world. That's really helpful. And then, of course, every time you share the podcast, whether that's on social media or whether that's with your team or colleagues, hey, let's listen to this episode and then let's talk about the questions. Those are all ways in which these messages are amplified and shared around the world. So thanks to everybody that does that. I am so glad and grateful you are here today. I've been thinking a lot about the word congruence lately. Yes, I'm a strange guy, as you know, but hang with me. Congruence comes from the Latin word congruere, which means when who you are, values and beliefs, what you say and what you do are in complete harmony. Let me say that again. When who you are, your values and beliefs, what you say and what you do are in complete harmony. We know that we as human beings are imperfect. And so let me get this out of the way right at the beginning of this podcast. Again, and hopefully I do a good job on all my podcasts of putting this out there. But I'm not perfect, and neither are you. I'm not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but I am striving to continue to hopefully set the temperature in my life and work that I'm aiming for. And so I know I'm not perfect. I know you're not perfect. And let me remind us this from the beginning. There is no perfect leader, team, or organization on the planet. I'm yet to find them. And I've been looking for like 16 years, officially doing that. So however however we're coming to this, just know that we're imperfect. And so this idea of complete harmony, I know can be tough, but when we talk about congruence, when who you are, your values and beliefs, what you say and what you do are in complete harmony. I know that complete might be hard for us to hear, but let's just think about it, are in harmony. And so even though none of us are perfect, however, I also know that all of us, we all do know people, individuals, leaders, people that seem to live and work in congruence. Their values and beliefs, what they say and what they do, are in harmony. Doesn't mean maybe complete harmony. Doesn't mean they're perfect by any stretch, but we can all think of people where their values and their beliefs and what they say and what they do are in harmony. And I bet we can all picture some people right now, and hopefully we'll take the time to celebrate them and recognize them for what we see in them. I'm sure we also can picture particular teams or organizations that, again, aren't perfect, but do seem to be congruent. Their values and beliefs, what they say and what they do, are in harmony. Whatever team or organization you are imagining, I hope, again, you'll celebrate them and recognize them, what you see in them. I spent a lot of time last episode talking about 5 characteristics of glue within championship teams. The opposite of this, of course, that you've also heard me talk about on past podcast episodes around the topic of cultural dissonance, is where our words and our actions are not in alignment. There are many team and organizational cultures that experience great cultural dissonance within their culture because what they say and what they do create an obvious divide. For this episode, though, I want to focus on the congruence of when they are in harmony, and what to highlight. I want to highlight a few of the ways we let others get in the way of our congruence or keep us in an incongruent state. It's at those moments that we have the opportunity to control what we can control and get back to a mindset of setting the temperature we want and breathing good oxygen into the congruence of our words and our actions. So, on today's podcast, we're talking about congruence in leadership and cultures and how to keep our mindset focused on the temperature we aim to set so that we can breathe good oxygen into our actions that align our values and beliefs and bring our words and actions into harmony. But before we dive into today's topic, let's pause, take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Many teams and organizations right now are realizing that they need to do both. They need to engage the minds and hearts of their people in person, where everyone in the room can experience the energy of congregating together and find clarity for the road ahead. And they also need to continue to find ways to engage the minds and hearts of their people virtually with those who are working remotely or at a distance. So, if you are in the process of planning your next team meeting, company all-hands event, conference or culture summit, and are looking for support with a powerful keynote speech, facilitated team conversations that are the currency for change, or deeper development on leadership mindset and an intentional strategy for the culture you're trying to create, I hope you'll contact us at jasonvbarger.com, jasonvbarger.com. It is my privilege and our honor to partner with great people to provide support in these areas. We want to breathe oxygen into your leaders and throughout your organization so you can set the temperature you want for your culture. We look forward to connecting with you soon. I hope you'll contact us at jasonvbarger.com, jasonvbarger.com. It is my privilege and our honor to partner with great people to provide support in these areas. We want to breathe oxygen into your leaders and throughout your organization so you can set the temperature you want for your culture. We look forward to connecting with you soon. Again, congruence is when who we are, our values and beliefs, and what we say and what we do are in complete harmony. 99% of that is within our control and within ourselves, our own mindset each day to focus on values and beliefs and alignment of our words and actions. And again, no person or team or organization is perfect, but the best are intentional about training their mindset so that their actions in their life and work are in congruence. But we're all imperfect, so what gets in the way? Often it's not only the voices in our own heads. You've heard me talk about this on past episodes around mental baggage. If you didn't listen to that, you can go back and listen to a whole episode I did on the 3 types of mental baggage that we all carry. But oftentimes the voices in our own heads can be the strongest, but it also can come from the voices around us. Finding congruence is a personal job, an opportunity for all of us to take ownership of, but we also can help the people around us to find congruence. because often the strongest forces that keep us from finding congruence can come from the outside voices of naysayers or even coaches and teammates. So let's take a few minutes to highlight a few examples, just a couple examples really, of forces that keep us from finding congruence and reminders about how we could be the opposite of these examples for those around us, that we could help people find congruence. But what gets in the way sometimes is actually, one, the coach or the leader. And again, I did a whole podcast earlier about the approach of leaders, coaches, and bosses and how they have a tremendous impact on the mindsets of their people. I told an example from earlier this NFL football season where star quarterback of the Miami Dolphins, Tua Tagovailoa, was asked before the season, what happened to his career? What happened? What changed? Because from being a top NFL draft pick and national championship winning quarterback when he came into the NFL with all of this immense talent, in his first couple of years, he was spiraling downward and not having much success. And many around him were beginning to call him a bust, a waste of talent, all these voices from the outside. And then all of a sudden he has this all-pro season, and everyone wanted to know, and at this press conference where they were asking about this before this last season, they were asking him, what changed? What changed? All of a sudden you have this great season. And his response I found to be fascinating because he said, most people thought what he was going to go into is, I worked harder, I studied, I practiced, I dove in. And really his response was this. He said, honestly, what changed? Coaching. And then he turned it on at the press conference. He turned it on everybody asking the questions. And he said, how would you perform at your job if every day you came in and your coach or your leader was constantly telling you that you weren't the right person, you weren't talented enough, you weren't good enough? How would you perform? And he went on to say, my talent has never changed. What changed was my coaching. Then they had a coaching change and a new coach came in, Mike McDaniel. He came in and the message every day was the exact opposite. He said, he told me, you are the guy we need. You are the perfect fit for what we're trying to do. I believe in you. And so what changed? That. And then my performance followed. A recent study from the Journal of Applied Psychology, it was 471 different studies of 149,000 people in 36 countries around the world. And really what it found is not surprising to us, but that people that have aggressive, abusive, or negative learning environments and bosses and learning environments and coaches or leaders or bosses around them, they do poorer work, collaborate less, and shirk their work and their responsibilities more than other people. And so it's actually pretty simple. The kind of leader, the kind of boss, the kind of mentor you are can either get in the way of congruence or help enhance performance by helping people find their congruence. So one of the first things that gets in the way or can help enhance congruence is the coach or the leader. You all know the stats that more people, this has been true for decades, that people don't tend to leave jobs, they leave people. They leave bosses, they leave managers. So the leader, the coach, the boss, the mentor, whatever that is, plays an enormous role in either helping somebody find congruence or get in the way of their congruence. The second external voice that often gets in the way or can help are teammates and just general outsiders. We often listen to the voices of teammates and, unfortunately, external voices that keep us from finding congruence, or those outside folks can actually help us achieve it. If you haven't seen the 2023 documentary on Netflix called The Turnaround, I suggest you take the less than, I think it's 30 minutes or something, it's very short, that is to consume this story. Go find The Turnaround on Netflix and do yourself a favor and give it a watch. It chronicles the story of baseball player Trea Turner, who signs a massive contract to become the savior for the Philadelphia Phillies and to lead them to a championship. However, I won't give away the whole thing, but it's fascinating. Again, I won't do as good of a job as watching it, so go watch it. But he starts the season playing awfully. In fact, the worst stretch of his career, where he is something like 0 for 18 at bat, for one stretch of it. He's playing horribly, and fans are booing him. Even his own fans are booing him, when he comes up to bat. The negative energy, as they're telling this story and watching it, that every time he comes up to bat, the negative energy is palpable because so many people are frustrated and angry about his poor performance. And obviously, you can see that it's in his own head, then it's affecting his performance. The outside voices are not making things better. They're making it harder for him to find that kind of congruence. And then, again, I don't want to spoil the whole thing, but please go watch it. Then a loyal fan who happens to be struggling with his own mental health issues goes on social media and puts out a challenge to the notoriously negative Philadelphia fans. And he says, instead of booing him when he comes to bat next, how about we give him a standing ovation? How about we turn this mojo around, and how about we try to get behind our guy? And we know he goes on to say, we know he is struggling, so let's pick him up. And what ends up happening from the very next game after this video goes viral, all of a sudden he comes up to bat and a standing ovation takes place. And at that very moment, that same feeling that was palpable of negativity in the past all of a sudden turns positive. And what happens? He gets a base hit right away. And that from that ovation, and the place goes crazy. Over the next 2 months of then the same thing happening, he goes on to hit 16 home runs in that 2-month period, which is the best stretch of his career, and leads the Phillies to 1 game short of the World Series. So what changed? The spirit, the vibe, the voices, and culture around him. And what followed was his performance. The voices, instead of got in the way of him finding congruence, the voices, the energy, the spirit helped him find that congruence, and all of a sudden, his performance followed. Congruence starts within each one of us and what we can control personally, and it certainly is enhanced by the people around us, our coaches, our leaders, teammates, who can either help us find congruence or make it harder to find that congruence. So, what type of teammate, leader, and coach do you hope to be for others? So, as always, let me leave us with a few questions to ponder for today. What aspects of your life and work seem to be incongruence right now? What areas of your life and work do you desire greater congruence? How could you be a leader or teammate who helps others find congruence? And what is within your control for your own mindset and spirit? I hope today's episode got you thinking in some exciting ways. If a deeper dive into any of these topics is helpful to you, or if support to your team, your organization would be helpful, I hope you'll track us down, info@jasonvbarger.com, info@jasonvbarger.com, or just go on the jasonvbarger.com website and share with us what's going on. Check out how we can help, and we'll be in dialogue with you soon. Lastly, I'll just remind you to go back, listen to any of the past episodes. Again, you can just Google my name and any topic that you're interested in around servant leadership, culture, mindset, all this stuff, and you'll find, again, there's over 260 episodes now, so you'll find something, and I hope you'll check it out. I hope you'll subscribe, rate, review, share, all those things that we talked about earlier, because that helps amplify these messages further. And lastly, I'll just say to you, cheers. Cheers to the road ahead. Cheers to whatever you're working on, wherever you are in your life, your work, and I pray that this has helped you step back, think about things, hopefully some good oxygen breathed into you. I hope that it helps you think about the congruence of the temperature you're trying to set in your own life and your own work. And, we have the opportunity to get clear on what that temperature is. What do we want it to be? And then with courage and commitment to breathe oxygen into ourselves daily, to say, how can we put one foot in front of the other to go live that life and that kind of person and that kind of work that we want to be about in the world. So Good luck and cheers to everybody along your path. And I'll just remind us to step back. Remember, be a thermostat and breathe good oxygen. Thank you for listening to today's podcast, and I hope the messages and questions stimulate positive change along your path. As always, if these messages resonate with you and add value to your life, I hope you'll help amplify them throughout the world. Please rate, comment, and share on whatever podcast or social media platform you're using, and share this podcast with the people in your life or work who should be part of these conversations. That way, this spirit does, in fact, spread. If these messages or developing leaders and culture would be helpful to you and your organization, please contact us at jasonvbarger.com, jasonvbarger.com. And remember, we are all ambassadors for the culture we want to create in our life and work. We have to own the vision we want to be a part of. The future of leadership is you, is me, is us. Be a thermostat.